I said, Cat Williams on this couch for 3 hours and his feet never touched the ground. That's the first thing I said. Right? Y'all didn't see the same thing I saw? Y'all didn't see that? You don't care coming back. I don't get no. Why did you? Am I scared of Cat Williams? No. For what? He probably come back. Start your year.
Video progress bar 1 hour, 24 minutes, 37 seconds of 2 hours, 58 minutes, 55 seconds. Pause.
This is so super annoying. Hey, what's up, Roxanne? It's a lot for me right now. I'm literally just trying to keep the peace. My mentality is really feeling some type of way because of all the repetitive nonsense that I've been having to deal with over the last few months. You know, trying not to put too much out there, but at the same time, you know, it's been a huge affecting thing that has just really put a stamper on a lot of the stuff that I'm so used to being equipped with and able to, you know, use as a resource to bounce back on, you know. A lot of things have taken place just, you know, starting the new year, because a lot of stuff that I used to be able to tout and say that I was, you know, proud representative of is no longer something in my category at this point right now. I'm just like dealing with so much, you know, behind the scenes that I'm not willing to openly speak on, but at the same time, you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad to know. What's good, dstag? So much. I wish that, you know, at some point there was a way to, you know, make all of this easy to explain. But, you know what I'm saying? Whenever you're dealing with certain situations cause you to change your outlook on certain shit, so to speak. Like, you know, I'm the type of person, you know what I mean? Like, I love dealing with, you know, real situations, because we face these kind of problems all the time. I don't know what else I could say that would better explain that, but it's like, people have issues that sometimes it's hard to even get, a positive input about, you know what I'm saying? And I literally go out of my way all the time to try to, make things more positive, you know what I mean, for a lot of reasons, because, people could use positive influence, positive, inspiration that empowers a person to be the best person they are in the world today, with the fact that we have so many misinformation agents and people who just want to destroy the everyday, what we've called norm for so long, that it becomes a situation where people have, lost their faith or lost their interest in what makes, life so valuable, precious, and sacred, you know what I'm saying, in many ways, because you see now a lot of things that, even my childhood was not acceptable, or, given a second look without criticizing how damning it was, that now it's like, oh yeah, this is every day. This is the normal. This is what we consider normal. And not to, show any kind of shade to anybody, or just, disrespect any kind of particular person involved in this conversation or this situation. But what we come to realize is some of the things that we want to make normal don't sit as normal around other people. Like, for the example of fact that there will never in American history, or in the current history of America, be a woman president, and to hear those kinds of words being even spoken out aloud are just faintly humorous, to be honest with you, because on top of it being just some fucked up ass joke, it really is a place to put a situation that just compiles itself to be something more than what it really is. The fact that, statistically speaking, a certain percentage of Americans, identify with LGBTQ plus, preferences and, settings for themselves. Whereas, we call it, sounds like somebody wants some more money. But anyway, in the same sense, what we've remembered from these times in our history, there was a huge barrier for people like LGBTQ plus people to even express themselves naturally in their own natural state. Like when you go into certain details like that, you kind of try not to offend anyone, but yet we are dealing with a situation where people do not agree or appreciate having to self-identify as, what is known now as pronouns cis male or cis female, rather than just male or female, you know what I mean? And I get it, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm the type of person, I don't discriminate. I don't try not to, implant myself as somebody who just wants to get along to be along, or be along to get along, or whatever that word phrasing is. But, when you're dealing with what's not considered natural in the public eye, as opposed to what everyone wants to be considered normal, it becomes a conflict of interest in many ways, you know what I mean? Because it's just not something that everybody is okay with. Yeah, so, it's weird. It's not even really weird. It's really just what's real, what's the reality of everything. You know what I mean? For everybody that wants, this to be the turn of the century situation. What's up, Cassie? But let's see what my man dstag got to say about it. Because honestly, I really anchor right now joining us, my man dstg stag. What's happening, my bro?
What's up?
Not much, my man. I just, we in here today. I'm just coming in because I really was joining a conversation that I started myself, basically, because with everything going on, bro, I've been just basically kind of like trying to, move around in a way that kind of just was like, all right, I'm not bothered by any of this, regardless of how it may seem. And in most cases, you know what I'm saying, I try to put on a happy face to give people a more inspired look on, you know what I mean, what it takes to go through everything that a normal person will go through with the addition of being the person that I am. You know what I mean? Because like I said, I've been, as of this year, going on 11 years blind. And, not many people pay attention to that part of me, like, because of the simple fact they just too busy analyzing the fact of like simple stupid shit like, oh man, why is this dude saying he's blind but he's on Instagram live and talking to people and bringing people into the live stream. Most shit like that was just sounds impossible. Right, it sounds impossible, but it's a very possible situation when you're dealing with today's modern technology. You know what I mean? And I can't give it all to the fact of having tech on that side of me. But at the same time, when you come from a position like I have, I went blind in 2014. Most folks don't realize that. I have to sometimes make it known because, like, in the same sense, people don't get how easy it is for me to convert this stuff. It wasn't easy, but at the same time, I got the hang of it because I was determined to be able to do stuff that most people could say and were saying at the time, no, he's not able to do that. That's impossible. You know what I'm saying? So from, being a live podcaster on Instagram and starting my PZ show on, this platform to, recording with BandLab and not knowing anything about BandLab until it was presented to me. Somebody sent me a link to it and I joined in. And all of a sudden, you know what I mean? I went from this kid who really didn't have everything he needed to be the person he was saying he was as an artist, and now being given like all of the underground tools in order to accomplish that one goal. You know what I mean? And then getting to the point where like I'm just now like seeing a little bit of like light from all of that work that I put in over the last few years. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then getting put on a whole standstill because as of this year, well, as of last year, really, because I've been having more hangups with last year's drops and releases I was trying to put out. I couldn't even do it, and I'm still having problems trying to do it to this day because DistroKid is giving me a bunch of bullshit. So it's like to start my year, you know what I mean? It's to start my year, it's a bunch of this crazy shit going on. Like I have friends like you and Relly who are artists with a huge platform of music that people can hear and listen to, but somehow I can't even tag you guys in a in a post putting any of your music out there as an example, you know what I mean, of ways that I've, become aligned with you guys in a way that, you know what I mean, put it out there like that. It's like I was able to run down my own music in a sense because there was times where, I got to a point where I was just very upset about how the algorithm would treat my process of posting and putting up music and shit like that. So like there were times where I would put up a video of my own music and they would flag my shit and turn it down or give me a flag, give me a warning, say, oh, you put it up copyrighted music and all this other crap. But then when they turned around and got the actual full analysis of whose work it was, then they turn around and, oh, well, my bad, it was a mistake and all this other crap. But I'm still having difficulties acknowledging my work to the public, you know, in a sense of like, yeah, I have several, places where I can, initiate putting this stuff out there for people to see. But when you're dealing with a process from a programmed system that only allows you certain things if you're special, you know what I'm saying? Like, that shit starts to marinate a way that it just doesn't significantly put you in a place where you feel respected in the rights of this thing. So like when you look at shit like the fact that I have uh I have a music page, right? I have a music page for my TikTok or whatever. They said they was about to like allow me to make a TikTok page for my music specifically, but somehow my information as far as logging in is different and it's not the same. Or I'm like, how the hell does that make sense if you're going to use this information that you're trying to get from me and you're trying to say that I need accurate and exact information? I'm giving you the exact accurate information and it's still wrong. What sense does that make? It's another confusing conundrum of loops and bullshit that they keep putting in front of you. They say, oh, yeah, you can grab it. It's like watching that fucking Geico commercial with the old man and a fishing pole and a dollar bill on the end of it. And he's sitting there yanking it back at you every time you try to reach for it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know what I mean? So when it come down to it, for me, like this particular, live stream, I'm bringing a conversation around the fact that I just I went on TikTok this morning and I went to post something because I figured, hey, let's find out, how much of a ban is really in effect, right? Well, what we realized is you're allowed now because the incoming president made a statement and said, "Oh, we're going to give them 90 more days to come up with a decision." So basically, that's what they're saying right now. They really reinitiated TikTok into the U.S. platforms or whatever. You can go back in there and post your shit like you was before. But then you look at the fact that consequentially, in the next 90 days, if they don't make a decision on who they're going to give their power to, we're going to lose it again.
Yeah.
We're going to lose it again.
Yeah.
And it'll be right. And that's my thing. That's the whole thing about it. Like, one thing I read earlier is a couple of people that posted over the last couple of days, yesterday and today, about the ban on TikTok. Because everybody was like seeing the fact that nobody was able to initiate their usual scrolling procedures with the platform, and that everybody has come to love. You got 170 million people that appreciate this app and have utilized it to their benefits. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, what folks have come to not take into interest of, but have such a fucking critical, conversation around, is the fact that yes, TikTok has a Chinese, connector to the platform, but we can say that about a bunch of other apps that were based in America. You know what I'm saying?
Or owned
Like,
by
they're all
it doesn't
right.
matter. What's important is we need a voice. And
Yes.
the reason why I support Trump is because he is allowing us, if he does what he says, I'm not saying he's going to do what he says because I'm not
Right.
him, but his word is we're going to eliminate the censorship and people are going to have their voice back. And that's a good thing. I can't even post even on Facebook. I can't talk about certain things without them labeling it as this is misinformation, and that's according to what what they do is called disinformation, which is they have a narrative, and if you go against that narrative, you are the liar.
Right.
But they are the liar. It's just that they have, what they've done is they use media, and if you look up the root word of media, it's a spirit of deception. And then there's the words, and I've been looking at words because I'm a big word guy. You know, I like to write and know what words mean in other languages. I feel like English and spelling, like spells, they use this language
Mm-hmm.
that we speak to keep us stupid and to not know the original. I mean, the Bible was not written in English. Okay,
No,
a lot of things were. The old stuff is not written in this language.
you're right.
Um, there's Hebrew, there's Greek, there's Latin. You know, those are old. Those are the core like old languages that I know of
Right, the
through
old
the Lord.
translation. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
So I've
original old
been trying to
translations
learn.
from Hebrew, which was dead script.
Yeah.
And at the
That,
end of the day, the Dead Sea Scrolls have only been translated one way. You know what I mean? Like not even in a way that was
yeah.
more accurate, because there's
Not the
still a
best.
lot of
Yeah.
detailed information that you can gather from that, other than what was hard copied into into the book itself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
completely agree.
then there's the lost, the Supreme Court. You know, they call it the justice system. There ain't no justice in it. It's
Mm-mm.
if you really want to know, like go into the French revolutions, and they had some crazy things going on in the French revolutions, and that's the same
Right.
type of revolution I believe happened here. Is a similar thing,
Mm.
or they just went overseas. 1776, the Illuminati was created in the same year
Uh,
that they say
mhm.
America was created, and I don't think that's a
Right.
coincidence, man.
I don't
And
believe
then
so
there's
either.
the Supreme Court of Justice. But the funny thing about that is, if you look at the revolutions, there was a cult of supreme being, and I believe
Mm-hmm.
that they worship this supreme being, and it's not God. It's some
Mm.
other thing, and it's probably the devil, if I were to
Right.
guess,
Most
because
likely.
they had a so there's a really crazy document I found from France, from the French
Mm-hmm.
from the French courts,
Uh-huh.
and it said that the supreme being was there with them,
Mm.
and these are the human rights. Like human rights was not a thing before this document. And
Right.
then they're with this supreme being in the courtroom, and he's like, these are your rights as human beings. But what were we before we were human beings? I wonder what we were even called, you know?
Right.
Because
Right.
that must be a
Right.
new term. Because that's like, I guess it's a modern term. You know what I mean? More modern than
Mm-hmm.
we think. You know, 1700s. That there's so much history before. And
Absolutely.
I'm a big history guy because if you think it's boring, then you were taught the wrong story. You were taught his story.
Absolutely. There you go.
You were
Mm-hmm.
taught his story, which is,
Instead of the real
wrong.
story. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I agree.
It's really crazy.
I totally agree with you.
Do you
Yeah.
do you ever have you ever heard of Tartaria like once?
Tartaria. I've heard of
Tartaria.
Tartarian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of
Yeah.
Tartarian.
That's the
Like I've
same
heard of
thing.
that phrase
Yeah.
being used. It's a ancient
hmm
like architecture of like people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an ancient people that was erased from our history books. But there's other countries that's like, yeah, we used to be part of Tartaria. There's Putin actually revealed a map that Russia was like the majority of Tartaria was Russia.
Right.
And I have a neighbor, believe it or not, they have a globe, which I ain't gonna go into the globe thing, but the globe has Tartaria on the map. It's an old map,
Right.
and it has Gog and Magog, and, and like it's like, what is this, dude? I've never seen this map before, and it's I want to talk to her about it. I wonder if she knows anything, but it
Mm.
was crazy, and it had like sea monsters on it, and it had
Mm-hmm.
it actually you could open the globe up, and there was like these dudes standing in there. They looked like kind of like the Egyptian or the Greek gods sort of looked like.
Uh,
I remember one of the dudes had a trident, so maybe he was Neptune. I don't know,
Could
but
have
it
been.
was crazy. Like this is an old map.
Mm-hmm.
This
And
is
that
an old.
see,
They were
and,
just
and
old
from what
map.
it sounds like, they plucked what they wanted from it and they took the rest away from us so that we wouldn't know or we wouldn't have the knowledge to understand
Yeah,
what it
yeah,
really was or what it pertained to, because now they're able to use it as a secret society,
yeah,
so to
yeah, yeah.
speak. You know what I mean?
But
Because at this point right now, this
grandparents
is.
might know.
Mm,
Like
mm-hmm.
your grandma or grandpa might know, about Tartaria because there was a time, a period where they did know about it, or they
Mm-hmm.
were taught by their parents and grandparents. So it's good that we at least we have a connection to the past generations because
Yep.
from what I understand, around 1948, a lot of things changed. A lot of things. When the TV was invented,
Mm-hmm.
television,
Mm-hmm.
tell you what to think, tell you what to see.
So you
A
vision.
lot of division happened, a lot of change happened.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it started in the church too, with a lot of different religion being created, and then
Oh,
it's like, well, we
absolutely.
believe this, we don't believe that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's a
The
big
one
division
true
in that,
religion
and
is a mystery to a lot of people.
now it's become, there's Satanism, there's
Mm-hmm.
all this, there's the New Age, which is really crazy. I actually fell for the New Age last year for a little while. I didn't know what I was doing, but I used to think that, you know, we had spirit guides and all that crap, and
Mm-hmm.
it's bull crap. Like that's not, there's only one God, there's one spirit that you should trust because the rest of them will lie to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The
Without
Most
any
High is
without
only
any regard.
trustworthy. The only
Mm-hmm.
one that's trustworthy because the rest of them are deceiving. Um,
Absolutely. I
and
agree.
when you were a kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could watch TV. Um, this is something that grew on me recently with the television because
Mm-hmm.
I grew up and I watched TV and I played video games a lot,
Yep.
like more often than
Me
I
too.
was now. Um,
Yeah, me too.
so that was kind of my world, and I look back on that after reading the stuff about the dragon, um,
Mm-hmm.
and the end times being the dragon. There's a lot of dragon propaganda in the freaking cartoons
Yeah.
and the kid shows with Pokemons, which I like Pokemons, but it's
Mm-hmm.
been getting more and more suspicious as it's been
Oh,
going.
absolutely. You see that
I could
they've
do a
tried.
whole series on how Pokemon is a cult because
Mm-hmm.
it's crazy. I mean, it even tells you pocket monsters. What are these things?
Yeah.
They catch them, and it's like Solomon, how Solomon controlled these monsters or demons or whatever you want to call them,
Right.
creatures. They're creatures. Um, but the big thing I noticed was how much screen time did Charizard get? How many kids love Charizard? Probably more than they like Pikachu. Charizard was the dragon, right? They love him. They loved him. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's I grew up with Dragon Tales. I grew up with
Yeah,
Dragon
I remember.
Tales.
I remember those.
The dinosaur and the dinosaur stuff too. Um,
Yeah,
the
the show.
dinosaur stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were all kinds of shows about dinosaurs. And there's a movie. There's a movie. I'm trying to remember the name of it. But there was Jurassic Park. There's
Mm-hmm.
um, Land Before Time. That's what it was.
Yeah,
Land Before
that was a
Time.
classic.
It
Mm-hmm.
was a class. I mean, it was cool, but
At one point, yes.
you
I
gotta
mean, but then when
look at
you
the
go
message
into the
though.
context of it, the messaging was just
Think
like, what?
about the message though. A land before time. Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Well, I mean, when you think about it, this was a land before anybody determined what time really was, because they
Maybe.
didn't have anybody who coordinated or, brought all of that to context at that point, because where were they? Where were those type of people? They were non-existent. The man, it was stated in history that man was never united to be in
Yeah.
the same historic figure or setting with these prehistoric beings.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's the narrative, is that dinosaurs were before people.
Right.
And
Right.
and then there's some people that say the people were with the dinosaurs, but I'm like, well, wouldn't they just get eaten up?
Exactly.
There's
So
it.
that's the
Yeah,
whole thing that didn't make sense to me, because the cavemen that of that time even would have been inferior to that whole situation. So they'd have been walking around with clubs thinking they could beat the
yeah.
damn dinosaurs and get chewed
What's a
up
spear?
or
What's a
stepped
little
on.
tiny spear gonna do to that thing? It's like, it's taller
Right.
than a
It's a
building.
freaking, it's a prick, like a finger prick to a damn diabetic.
It's like, think about the Empire State Building, bro. You think that little spear is gonna hurt him?
Exactly. It'd be, if anything, the most irritating thing they've ever had to experience in life. You know what I'm saying? So I completely agree with you on that, because there's really no real explanation. They give us all these, scientific examples where you say that the Tyrannosaurus was a mix of a normal human, or it's like some kind of like mammal,
Oh,
but there's
oh,
also a
mammal.
freaking
Yeah, yeah.
a mix with a chicken. You know what I'm saying?
Really,
Like, yeah, it
really.
was a
Like the duck.
crossbreed of a mammal and a chicken, because they had feathers at some point. They didn't say like these Tyrannosaurus, these big ass fucking animals, reptilian animals, had feathers
It does.
and laid eggs.
There's nothing. I don't think there's a single creature like that
Not at
that
all.
has like the scales and wings. But there is dragons. There are snakes. Um,
Mm-hmm.
there's lizards, and Komodo dragon is like the closest thing, but it doesn't have wings. Like crocodiles. Now
Right.
those did come from something. I believe they came from somewhere. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's evolution or anything like that. But
Yeah, I mean, in any case, it may have had something to do with evolution, because, in the same
yeah,
sense, when the world started to
hopefully it did.
form what we know today, it had to adapt in order to exist and still be present in the day and time
Yeah, for survival, I
for
believe that. Yeah,
survival
we
purposes.
we can
Yeah,
we can
like,
even see that there's, when the climate has been changing,
hmm
that the animals, depending on where their climate is, they change, they
yeah,
adapt to it.
you can see they have adapted, or they've tried to adjust themselves physically without the, seamless understanding of like how this whole thing takes place. But I think what we really don't pay attention to, and it's obvious that it's like a really like faint memory of the reality of it all, is everything starts from what we have been created from in this planet. This planet has special qualities that enrich people like us to be even existent in
Yeah,
it,
it's
and then
it's too
the
perfect.
fact that we
There's
are,
there's
yeah,
there's too much thought into every, like even a cell. How much is
hmm
going on in that cell, and then it goes down to DNA, and then
yeah,
there's all this stuff, and they didn't discover this until 100 years ago.
hmm
After all the
hmm
time we've had, and then it goes down to the very smallest, which is an atom. Atom,
hmm
atom. That's not,
a Tom,
not a coincidence, man. Atom, yeah, and that means dirt. That means dirt because we were made from dirt.
yeah,
It's like a speck of dust. Think about it like that. The smallest piece of a man is a speck of dust.
absolutely,
And God even said that, from the dust you came, and to
and
the dust y'all
from
will
the
return.
you will
You were
return,
supposed to be. Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah,
And I mean, in so many ways, like, it's the part of the thing for me that actually solidifies a lot of stuff to me. Because it's like, when you think about like how we treat like the people who have died, the deceased, we have
yeah,
options in the day and age now. But before then, we only just buried our dead.
yeah.
We
Now
did not.
they cremate them. Now
Mm-hmm.
they cremate them. I think
So
that's
you tell
symbolic of
me,
something, like that's like hellfire. I wouldn't want to be cremated because that
you
sounds
see,
like it sounds like there's something demonic about that. Like you're gonna
right?
burn like you're gonna burn me in the fire. That's what it says
And
about hell.
exactly. Exactly my point. And then it's like you make this normal as a means to conservate the earth, you know what I mean, by burning the body. I mean, at one point it was more natural to not burn the body because you're putting toxins in the air. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, it is
now
gonna put
it's a
toxins
more right. So what's more natural to do? Like, let the body naturally
to the
decay
dirt, like
underground?
it says,
Right.
return to the dirt
Right.
where you
It
came
returned to
from.
the soil and the dirt where you came from. So at the end of the, like, for me, that's the whole thing that I keep, talking about in my situation as far as me is concerned. Like, a lot of people want, um, us to follow the narrative of, hey, when you pass, you should be wanting to get cremated because we don't have enough planet to plant you in,
That's a
which doesn't
lie.
make
That's
sense.
a
And that's
bullshit.
the whole lie of it, the situation. It's like for every person on this planet, we have a marker in the ground for you at the end of the day. It's all about whether you want that or not. And what's inevitably true is yes, you are going to die.
Yeah,
Everyone is going to
the
die
the
at
body
some
will.
point.
Hmm. You know
Yeah,
what's
and
crazy
and for
though?
what it's worth, go ahead.
So the word body, right? And we're made up. Our flesh is made up of cells, right?
Mm-hmm.
And some people say that's like a prison cell, or it contains something, your cells. And then there's the
Mm-hmm.
word cyto, which is where cell came from. It's Greek, cyto, like in a
Mm.
cytoplasm.
Yeah.
Cytoplasm is the liquid in the cell. But cyto means vessel. Literally,
Mm.
it means vessel. That's where the word cell came from. So they're literally, if you look a little bit into the other languages, they're telling you that this skin that we have on is just a vessel.
Yeah.
But
Temporary
some
vessel.
but some people make it their whole life to look good, on the outward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my dad is a personal trainer. He's all about looking good.
Right.
He was a personal
Right.
trainer and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's worthless, man. The flesh is gonna, it goes away.
Right.
It goes away. We can get a
Yeah.
new. It says we're gonna get a new body, a perfected body. Not this. This is not a perfected body.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Not at
you know
all.
it's not perfect. You know it's not perfect because I can show you. I got spots. I know you can't see, but I'm telling you, I got spots all over my skin. It's not. There's
Mm-hmm.
blemishes all over me. And some people think it's a beauty mark. I'm like, no, it's a
Freckle.
spot.
All
It's
this other shit.
freckle.
That's an actual
And then we
spot.
get scars. We go through stuff. We get scars. We get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
That's not
Mm-hmm.
perfect. Having
That's
a
not
scar on your body
perfection at
that,
all.
I mean, some people are missing limbs. That's not a perfected body. You know what
No.
I mean? But the promise is you get it, if you're faithful and you're good and you believe that Jesus died for your sins, then you will have a perfected, resurrected body. You will, this
Mm-hmm.
will go away. That's why, the one thing I struggle with the most is like like lust.
Yeah.
And
I
I'm
mean,
trying to fight that
that's
one.
everybody.
Everybody, but
That's
hopefully,
everybody.
sometimes
Desires
people
are what they
marry.
are, and how they manifest is just a temptation of
Yeah,
the flesh.
yeah, and then it's like, well, you sin against your own flesh, and I'm like, yeah, but it's gonna go away anyway.
Hmm.
So it is what it is. I've been working on it though. I've been doing good. I've been doing good. Um,
Yeah, I
shoot,
agree with you, my friend. It's just been so much going on over these last, couple years now. I mean, just really analyzing what life really means to each person in the world today.
yeah,
Because in many
for me,
cases, you
yeah,
see, yeah, you see how people profess their meanings behind stuff. It's like
yeah.
you can always tell
It's good to
who
listen.
really believes in, what when it comes down to it, because it's just a simple conversation.
Yeah,
Really, really doesn't
everyone
take a
has,
whole
yeah,
lot to
and
figure out it.
everyone believes in something. You can't. I mean, it's just the crazy thing to me is how many people believe in the Big Bang Theory and how much they've been
Mm-hmm.
selling that. There's a show about it. There's a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
shows, and they teach it in school like it's the truth, but
Right.
it's a theory. But they don't teach
It
it
is
like
just a
it's a
theory.
theory.
Of
They
course
don't
not.
teach it like that
They
though.
want you to
They make
believe
sure
that.
every student has to know this. And every student has to believe that we rotate around the sun. And that's a whole nother thing. But you know what I mean? They teach this
Oh,
stuff
absolutely.
like it's the truth, but it's a theory, and it's always been a theory.
I agree with you 100%, bro. There's so much going on around us that we literally don't take much interest into anymore because everybody's been saying, oh, well, this are the real facts.
Yeah,
And they want you to
right.
drill it. They drill that into you
What
to
they believe.
believe. And yeah, and it's like what you want to find out and believe is there for you as well. But at the same time, there's all this speculation around it. They, oh no, this was not factual, this is not
Mhm.
historically accurate, and all these other intelligent professional phrases they tend to use whenever they kind of try to condescend what you have discovered to be truth in the making of a natural understanding around things. Because for folks, I mean, you could go as far as saying that everybody that believes that we left this planet to go to the moon and all this other fuck shit, that's your choice.
That's a
That's
choice.
really your choice. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
no one of us can actually vouch and say that that's true
I don't
because
need
none
that.
of us have been on that trip outside of this planet.
Yep.
So, for that
So we
matter, where
gotta
people come
gotta
in
trust
and
natural,
throw
right?
out, right, you got people that'll literally come to you and tell you, no, we live on flat Earth, bro. This ain't fucking, this planet isn't round.
Mm.
And they will fight you over that.
It's not. There's no point in fighting over that. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I just don't believe what they're telling us, and we don't
Oh,
have a good
absolutely.
flat Earth model yet. And I know we ain't spinning around, and we ain't. I don't. I believe that because look at this water. You can't see this water, but it's flat. You know sea level, right? Sea level.
Yeah.
Sea level is always flat. And there's
Mm-hmm.
no other, like, no matter what I do to this water, and if I spin it at a million, however fast they say the earth is spinning, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what I do, it's gonna go back to being a flat water. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And
Yeah.
that's one thing, but I can't explain. I mean, I can't tell you what the earth looks like. I ain't ever been up on the top of the earth yet. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right. Agreed.
But
And I,
you know
and that's the way.
you heard of the
Go ahead.
final experiment?
The final experiment.
They called it the final experiment because they was trying to refute that the earth was flat. They were trying to fight because there's a group of flat earth people that was saying it's a circle,
Right.
and they disproved it because it showed that the sun was a 24-hour sun, you know,
Mm.
and it was going around the North Pole, or it was the South Pole that they went to.
Okay.
But to me, like, that doesn't mean anything. All they
No.
did was they proved wrong already was a shady map of that they believed in. It was a shady made
Right.
up map. One thing I do know is we got grids. We have grids.
Oh yeah.
The military uses grid systems, and then there's I've talked to witches in the past because I didn't know anything better, but they have ley lines.
Yeah.
They believe in
Yeah.
ley lines, which are straight lines going around the earth, going across the earth. It's more
Mm-hmm.
going across.
Yeah.
So it's like we have a grid system. So when I think of a grid, I think of square. I think it might be a square. You know what I mean?
Right.
And there might be
Mm-hmm.
corners because in the Bible it said it used to say corners.
Four
Now it changed
corners
it.
of the
They
earth.
used to change. They changed it to quarters, but now I believe it's corners. And
Yeah,
then
it is four
maybe
corners.
maybe it's a square. I don't know.
No,
It's
because
just a shape of corner.
if you read in Deuteronomy, matter of fact, no, yeah, Deuteronomy, where it was speaking on the the Israelites being placed in the outcast. They're going to be spread across the four corners of the earth,
Yeah, the corners.
four corners of the earth, and then you pertain to try to put that into geographical terms, like you're looking at north, south, east, and west.
And what has no corners on it?
Mm,
A, a sphere has no
the
edges at
sphere,
all.
exactly.
So maybe
So at the end of
that's
the
why
day,
they
how does
didn't
that
see
make?
it.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's what I'm
why they
saying.
chose the
Like,
globe, because it has no corners, so it's as far from a square as possible.
right. But
Just
not
a question.
understanding that inside of that circle, there's still a square. There's still corners. You can just, you know what I mean, pretty much
And you can
angle it
put a circle
out.
in a square,
Yes,
and you can put circles in a square,
right.
and that would explain the revolving or the movement of the sun and moon. I believe the movement of the sun and moon could be a circle, but it
Mm-hmm.
maybe we're on a square map, because all
Right.
maps, since we know all the maps by the people on the ships, the sailors, have always been a flat map that is a square.
Uh-huh.
The
Yeah.
globe is a new
Rectangular.
concept. The globe is a new thing that was brought in by NASA, believe it or not.
Mm-hmm.
Back in
Yep.
the day, we didn't have globes. Sailors navigated with a map, just a
Yep.
square map and a compass, if they had compasses.
That's true. I mean, and then you look at
I'm
the
just
fact
telling you
that a
like it is.
voyage, the perfect example of the voyage to America from Columbus's point of view is he went backwards from England. He
Yeah,
came across the Atlantic and thought he was in fucking India.
yeah, yeah. And I don't think we
So,
can fall off the map or nothing crazy like that. But there's
nah,
probably
in that particular
boundaries. There's
sense,
like
though.
boundaries that, like maybe an ice wall or something,
Mm,
ice caps that you can't. Of course, you can't go past the
cross or
boundary.
tread past, yeah. Yeah. And I mean that kind of comes into a more logical explanation too, because when you think about the fact that we have now a situation with the climate
Hmm.
as to why there's like melting caps of the polar icebergs and stuff,
Hmm.
everything is starting to come all downhill. So what the hell is that? If not,
Yeah, I don't. There's
the evidence of something else rather
there's another thing
than the
about
round theory.
the round theory. Yeah, yeah. So I'm square theory. You know what I mean? I guess I'm square theory now.
Yeah.
But the reason why, and this is another thing, there was a movie also called Journey to the Center of the Earth, right?
Right. Right. Right.
Center of the Earth.
Uh-huh.
And I believe that they had like a compass and it was pointing them to it. It's like they're telling us, it's like they know. And
Yeah,
I think
come
that
see me.
there probably ain't no South Pole, because
Mm.
it's always pointing north, what they call it.
Mm-hmm.
It's always pointing to the north, and they've never had a compass point south. But
Uh, uh,
if there was a south magnetic pole, wouldn't it point south if you were right
right.
there? But
Yeah, I mean, at least,
that's never happened, and it never will. So what I think is actually there's a center point where the power, the energy is magnetizing everything, so it
mm-hmm.
points there. And there is a
Mm.
mountain, and it says there's a mountain, it's a mountain that goes all the way to heaven, called Mount Zion,
Right.
which for some reason Israel says they have Mount Zion, but if you look it up, it's just a tiny hill. It's
Right.
the smallest hill I've ever seen, and they're
Yeah,
like, "This is
and it's
this is
nowhere
Mount
near
Zion."
the
I'm
Himalayan
like, "There's no
mountains.
way, man.
Mount
There's just no way."
Everest is still considered the tallest
Yeah, and they
mountain in the fucking
call out.
world. So,
But of course they would. If they were trying to
mm-hmm.
lie to us, they would say it's a different mountain. They don't even so they acknowledge Mount Zion and they tell us it's a little hill. But if you read about it, it's the tallest mountain in the world, and
Right.
it goes up so high you can't even really fathom it. It goes to
Mm-hmm.
the top of heaven. In heaven, I mean, like, well, honestly, I think it says God's throne is on there, so it goes past the sky we can even see, if
Right.
that's the truth, which I believe is true. That it's hard to even wrap your mind around that, because we've been taught the opposite, the complete opposite
Right. Not to
of
mention, like,
everything.
the evidence that they throw out there doesn't say anything about Mount Zion being the tallest mountain in the world. So let's look at that. You
It's
know
a
what I mean?
hill. To
Like,
them, it's a
it's
hill.
literally a
They say
hill.
it's just a little hill. Um, And the whole thing about Israel is funny to me too, because it said, if you look this up, it says in 1948 they became a country again.
Right. Because
Is what happened. What
they
happened?
had been through that whole excavation. Like, think about it. This was what happened in the Roman wars and all of that stuff, because what was stated in history was because of the, Israelites not being able to reattain the city of Israel, the Holy Land. They
Yeah,
were consistently slaved. They were just constantly being put into critical conditions, which made them leave the
yeah,
land, and they migrated outside of the lands to like different areas, northwest Africa, the southern regions, and what's that space called there? South of it's like Liberia, Nigeria, places like that.
Southern
They
Africa.
moved, yeah, in the southern Africa, and then the southwest, or it's like the northwest parts in the mountains of Africa. So
Right.
you're hearing the separation of those two, but you didn't hear about where they went, if they after they left. All of them went, because not all of them went to that direction. Some of them went further east into like the Asian mountains and the
Yeah,
Himalayas out
yeah.
that, on the other
Didn't
side, and
Paul
into
didn't Paul go to Asia?
right. They didn't all
Yeah.
go. No,
Somebody
there was probably
did.
a small group of them that went that way,
Yeah.
and managed to, like, start a new colonization there, which is why we have different different outlooks on certain things, but the culture of the Hebrews, the Israelites of that time, stayed the
Hmm.
same. Because even in Ethiopia, when you look up the African heritage of that country, they literally have a culture derived from the original Israelites of the time.
Yeah,
So their
and not to
culture,
confuse
their
people,
living,
let's call
right.
them the Hebrews, because
Hmm.
there's a group of people that people are 100% convinced are the biblical Israel, but they're
Hmm.
called Ashkenazi. Look up Ashkenazi Jews. Those are the people
Yeah.
who occupy Israel, and they are
Right.
not Israelites.
No, they're
They are,
not.
in fact, from the Roman Catholics.
Right.
Rome.
Right.
They're from
Right.
Rome. They're white, or
They
they
were
look
the
kind of like
ones
they're
that
white.
came
They look
in,
kind of like
the
me. Yeah.
philosophers. Yeah, they were the white philosophers from Rome that
Yep.
came into the country and devised a plan to understand the culture and then trade it in for their own.
Interesting. Yeah. It's
So
kind of pagan if
that's
you think
literally
about
what
it,
they did.
and it's
It
kind of
is
pagan.
pagan,
I mean,
because believe
they
it or
need
not,
they need
it's
to
the
pray
reason why. It's
to a
the reason
woman. I mean, they're praying
why.
to a woman,
Uh-huh.
which is not in the Bible anywhere.
Nope.
There's nowhere in the Bible. I've looked at even the scrolls, like the old scrolls that people want to argue aren't scripture. I mean, just discernment, right?
Hmm.
But even those, there's nothing about Mary being divine. I'm sorry, there's
Of course.
nothing, like I can't do it. I tried to do I was given the thing. I can show y'all. Hold on. I can show y'all the thing they gave me. It's like a prayer they're supposed to do with the beads, and I can't do it, man. Like, someone stopped me from doing it. It's one of these. It's called a rosary. It's called a rosary. This is a
Right.
rosary, right? And I haven't done it yet. I might do it just to see, but basically, they think they think that Mary was divine, you know, and
Hmm.
that's really weird because there's Babylonian stuff that they pray to a goddess.
Hmm.
And so I feel like they're trying to make it like Mary's a goddess or Mary is something else.
Right. Shit. Who knows? Might be looking at the devil themselves.
Yeah, I don't know.
And in many senses, like, we do realize the storyline between Adam and Eve and how they ended up in the situation they're in, or they were in at that time. Woman was supposed to have been the companion of man, and then all of a
Yeah,
sudden devised a,
helper.
interest in, you know what I mean, something that was forsaken to us. We were never supposed to, you know, invite ourselves to the tree of life and understanding when we
Dude.
had enough understanding of ourselves through what God had created in that time. But at the same time, this is the knowledge that we know. Women wanted to define themselves in a way, because now it's like you heard from the serpent. The serpent gave you a message saying that what you believe is not necessarily the truth, only a
Mhm.
fabrication of a sorts. And if you take heed to the knowledge of the tree of knowledge and invite
Of good
yourself
and
into it,
evil.
then
And he
all
calls
things
it
will be
good and
revealed.
evil. His theory, and the funny thing is, if you read, it's called Melchizedek. If you can listen, I can send you the audio of it. It's
Hmm.
very awesome. Like it's one of the coolest books I've ever listened to, and it's describing even before creation, of the creation
Mm,
of the earth. There was a theory that Lucifer made up, and it was called the theory of good and evil,
mm,
saying
mm,
he was basically like, "Yo, God is cool and all that, but he's like, I went into the dark abyss, and I found some stuff like evil. Evil doesn't seem so bad. Like that was his thing. It's like you can be evil and good. That's not true. It's not
not true at all. No, but
because then
I hear you.
because what he did, and he didn't understand this probably, but he would not listen to the fact that the source of light and life, he is going away from it, you know,
Mm,
and he's been leading people away from it, and it's eternal separation. So we're talking forever.
yeah, eh,
Man, it's such a good
you're right.
book. The book of Melchizedek, it's a scroll that they found, and it's confirmed as I'm like 199% sure it's confirmed to be written by Melchizedek. And
Mm,
you never heard of? Have you heard of who Melchizedek is?
no.
No. Okay, let me explain. So he's a character in the Bible. He has no family lineage or nothing, but he's in the Bible, and he anointed Abraham to do what
Mm,
Abraham could do, so he could be the father of nations.
yeah.
So he's
Huh.
like literally an angel on earth that came to earth. So I mean, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I just
I
learned
mean, hey.
about that. But it's super dope that we have a book that was written by one of them heavenly peoples.
Hmm.
Well, they're not people, but you know what I mean. But yeah, he's a priest. He's a priest. It says if you look up Melchizedek, he's the priest of the Most High, and he gave Abraham, he blessed Abraham, gave Abraham a blessing. So it's pretty cool. He's like a record keeper
Hmm.
for a sense too, because he kept record of what was going on. And I've always had questions about Genesis specifically because it felt like they was leaving out details.
Oh, absolutely. I totally agree with you there. But I mean, like,
You know,
left to speculation, we all have a fucking conversation
they
around that
leave a lot.
situation because more people believe that that was the law of the land at the time. You know, everything is documented to be accurate because
I
of
don't
what
believe
these
that it's
group
a hundred.
of
I don't think it's
right.
there's no lies in Genesis, but I feel like it was some things were left out.
There was, and that's something that often perplexes a lot of people following the religious belief behind that whole situation. Because to be honest, like it goes back to what was said in Revelations. In Revelations, it states like nothing, let nothing be taken from nor added to this book, lest you be damning yourselves to the fires of hell. Like this is a statement that was placed in the Bible
Yeah.
after like everything was all said and done. so that people get an understanding of every detail from the book, not just the 66 books in the Bible, but all of the acculated parts to the Bible, which even includes the parts that were taken out by the prime ministries of
Yeah.
Italy when the Vatican
And we
decided to
know things
decide
were
on
too.
whose books were putting, what books we were putting into the Bible and what ones we were taking away.
And we know the scriptures were removed because it's what you can look it up.
Yes.
Enoch used to be in everyone's Bible back in the day.
And I mean,
And
you
had their
eradicate
books too.
something, you take something away from a piece of literature that could be considered the most holiest of holy things, and then you got it running around the world saying that this is the word when it's not fully textured.
Yeah.
So, like, that to me is a whole slap in the face to the rest of the people to say that we're all going on a ride to hell because we don't know what we're needing to know.
Yeah,
But
apparently,
we,
like
you know,
if I said this to a Catholic priest, obviously he would accuse me of heresy, right? But
hmm
they're the ones, like, if you're removing the word, that's a curse.
that is a
That
curse you have
is the
placed
curse
on
of
not only
hell.
yourself, but the rest of the fucking world that reads that book.
Yeah, so
Yes.
basically I feel like we're in this time period where we've been lied to and be on a level that has never been seen before.
Right. Because
And
we've had to be suppressed for so long because the people in control took the control that we supposed to have away from us by giving us half the truth and not the whole truth.
yes, um,
So they've
it
imprisoned
is.
us in our own selves, within ourselves.
Yeah, if anybody's got a Bible, I would recommend you check out Revelations 20
hmm
because it tells a story that no pastor really talks
Not at all.
about how everyone is basically after there's a kingdom, which we don't know if the kingdom happened or not yet. And after this kingdom, which is 1,000 years, it's not an internal thing yet.
Right.
Well, it
Right.
is eternal, but it was on the earth, I believe. It was an earth kingdom for 1,000 years. Um, and then after the 1,000 years, there is a time of deception where Satan is taking all his power, all the power he has to deceive everyone.
hmm
And nobody talks about this, but I'm going to talk
No.
about it because it's cool. It's interesting because I think that logic just tells me that's where we are
Oh yeah.
because
I
it
mean,
even
with
says
everything that's going on, you know what I mean? Like the
it even
fact that
says
the
he's going to use the church. It says he's going to use the church against itself, divide it
right,
against itself,
of course,
divide Israel. And what did they do? They did divide Israel with the slave trades and stuff, taking people from
absolutely.
one which way to another which way, so they're not together anymore. Because if you
hmm
divide people, then you can conquer them more easily. So he has
Absolutely.
divided
That's the
and confused
hmm
everyone. We're all
hmm
split up.
Yeah, of course. So I mean, it's never an option of understanding the truth because what is truth when you don't know the facts behind
And
it? You don't
we're
have
taught lies from the
anything to
moment we're
act
born.
right. We're taught lies to solidify truth.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and that's the mistake in the pathium of what the hell we all have, facing us today because
Hmm.
all of us are looking at the fact that we're running short on our own time here on this planet,
Oh,
but
for
for
sure.
what reason is it to be naive to the truth? You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
my thing is like, why separate yourself thinking that what you have come to believe is the truth when it has been enrooted in lies? Like,
Well, it's
you
just a
start off.
matter of sight. I think it's a matter of sight. Is like
Mm,
they can't
mm,
stop looking at this image that they've been shown of
mm,
whatever it
mm,
is, because they show us things, and
it's like
I'm still
it's
debating
like the Medusa. It's like the Medusa effect. You're
in the
staring
sense
at
we're
something
shown
that
all
is
these things as children, and then
right.
you're basically you've been programmed like a robot, and that's going to be
Hmm.
what you believe. That's what he wants. That's what the enemy wants.
You're gonna die. You're gonna be a stone statue stuck to believe the things that have been put in front of
Yeah.
you as what you want to know
Here is
as
your
truth because it's
program.
not.
Here's your daily programming. Here's your idols. They used to be called idols. Now they're
Hmm.
celebrities,
Yeah.
but they used to be called idols. And here's your movies. Here's John Travolta or like your favorite rapper. All this stuff is in your face to
Uh-huh.
be a distraction. It's
Oh yeah.
all like song and dance to keep people distracted.
Yeah. And unconcerned with the real things that are taking place and working around you in the closed shadows of the realities of life. Like it's like you have no fight in this because you choose not to turn on your headlights. So you're driving down the street dark in the dark basically with no street
Right.
lights to
Deception.
guide you. You're just on a dead road.
Deception is such a high level of evil. It's such a strong evil to break
Oh yeah.
through. It was hard for me
I
to
I
come to
realize
terms
it.
with everything
I
too.
I
It's not
realize
something
it
you
too.
just break free from immediately
No.
because
And you know
there's
what's
one lie and
funny?
then there's another lie and there's another lie.
The first time I was able to open my eyes to that, it was when I didn't have my eyes to see it.
Yeah, I know.
Because then the language around it sounded a lot more understanding. So it was like, oh wow. I opened my eyes in a way that I never thought I had seen before, and all of a sudden these things became more knowledgeably relevant for me, whereas everybody else still confuses themselves with what they see because it's always the vernacular
Oh
of
yeah.
what your eyes have given you that throws you off. It's like, you
And
know,
if you went and you
believe
asked the
none of what
teacher,
you see and half of what you hear.
what if you went and told the teacher, yo, what if this evolution theory is just a theory, which is, I have another theory, teacher, because
Right.
what about these dinosaurs? And how did a chicken come from? It just falls apart.
How does
But they
a
won't let you see.
chicken
There's people
mate with
that
a
have been,
reptile?
there's people that ask, they're in college, right? They're paying to go to college, and then they ask the professor questions. And then you know what the professor does? After the class, or even during the class, they'll be told, hey, be quiet. You're
Yeah,
interrupting my lecture. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that's really going on. That's
Hmm.
people like they have questions, and then when they present the question, there's no answer, and
Right,
then the professor's just like, well, because I said so. It's
right.
not good
And
enough. But
that's the final answer.
it's
There is no
the
revelation of
only.
truth there.
Yeah, no, it's why. It's because
It's just a
the textbook
provoking
the
situation.
textbook
They
says
always,
so. Well, the textbook says so. It's verified by this other textbook.
yeah, right.
Okay. And then you find out the dude, Rockefeller, right?
Yeah,
The
yeah,
oil guy.
yep.
He created the education system. He funded it with all his money from his oil industry.
Hmm.
And the food also there's a lot of food that contains petroleum oils,
Mm,
like
yeah,
food coloring. And
yeah, right.
there's soybean oil, which is terrible. I just found out about that crap.
No good for you. Yeah.
That's like in everything, man. I've been trying to eat cleaner.
Hmm. Yeah,
But
they
I feel
thought
like
of it as a superfood. That shit ain't even close.
no,
It's
no.
something that really helps to
If you're a
deteriorate the
man
body.
and you want bigger tits than your wife,
Yeah, right.
then you can eat some
That's what it
soybean
is.
oil.
Take on that soybean burger. Smack that bitch down then.
Soy
Because
burger?
that's where it's going
No,
for you.
I want a real burger with a
Right.
mean steak,
Like
y'all.
I'm still a little skeptic on that whole situation because the fact that a cow was a mutated animal. They
What?
crossbred that
They
they crossbred a
did
cow with something
that.
else. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Like
Something
I
good.
have really no record to tell you in my own words, but if you look up the
Nothing
genetics
into
of a
that.
cow, it's not even it's not a natural animal.
I didn't
Like,
know that, bro.
yeah, the calf is like, it's not an animal. It's like an oxen.
The
You know
oxen.
what I mean? It's like an oxen. That's like a baby calf. That's what a calf is. It's a baby oxen. So where the hell are you getting cows from?
Interesting.
You know what I mean? Like, and then to have like the fact that this cow choose curd. Chooses this curd. Isn't that supposed to be what they said? What was that supposed to be? Not clean food,
Yeah, unclean food.
right? It has hooves and it chooses curd,
Well, the
but
the
then
slick
you look.
hoof is fine, but yeah, you're right. The food is a problem.
Hmm.
You want grass fed, but that stuff is so expensive, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Expensive.
And then you're looking at like how we determine unclean food, and yet there's a delicacy around certain people that take in pork as a delicacy to eat and shit. But then
They
they tell you that's the most unclean animal that walks the earth.
might be
But
as
you got
far as
all
the
these people like,
yeah,
yo, we can make this and this with it. We can cut this up and make this with it. Oh, we got pork chops and bacon and all this other shit that, oh, wait a minute. This is all good to eat. This tastes great. You know what they say? Things that are, what they say, everything that tastes or everything that look good ain't good.
yeah. Just because it look good don't mean it's good for you, right?
Exactly.
That's like I go back to the apple in the Garden of Eden. It looked good to eat. The
Yep.
snake, what it says in Melchizedek is that he was eating the snake right in front of the snake was eating the apple right in front of her.
Yep.
It's crazy.
And
Like
and that
snake
was the
looked
that
like
was
he
the
was gonna
sales
eat it.
pitch. He was the
The
modern time
first salesman.
salesman of the
He
time, the
was the
first
first salesman.
salesman
You're right.
on the planet. He literally sold her a dream, and she
Mhm.
took it and bit into it full
Yeah,
fledged. No puns intended, because she went for it without even thinking about it.
and it was food,
Exactly.
and it was food. So think
So
about
that's
how
the first
he's doing
thought.
the food. He's doing the food industry very dirty.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Well,
So the fact
it
that,
used to be though.
what's more natural and good to eat for the nutritional values of a human body have been tainted because we don't have a clarity. And then there's a whole lot of excess things that they've added into it, the chemical combines that they've added to these preservatives and all this other stuff to so-called keep the food fresh and delicious and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, we're infesting ourselves with this shit.
Hmm.
We're infesting ourselves with the germicides, the chemicals, the all of this stuff, instead of realizing that at one point in our lives when we were without this technology, this pasteurization and all this other stuff that we went through in the modern days with the manufacturing of industrial manufacturing plants and all this other stuff, there was a reason why we probably should have never engaged in that shit.
Hmm.
Because not only did we do a dual effect on the planet, but we also tainted ourselves as human beings in this country, in this world, because none of us have a clear understanding of what's food that we should be consuming,
I have a
because
book
we've
about this, bro.
tainted everything.
I got a book about it. It's called Good Clean Food. I'm borrowing it from the library right now.
Hmm.
And this is exactly about what you're saying.
Right. Because I mean, at the end of the day, you realize now this is the reason why we have exorbitant prices on what they consider organic foods. Organic foods nowadays have like a higher price tag on it because they don't really want you to have it. One, two, they've packed it with so many GMOs that they lied to you. They can't even put it on the register. They can't even put it on the market as a
Oh,
natural organic food. They have to let you know that they've genetically modified it. So the thing that kills me about it is they hide that factor by not saying it's
yeah,
GMO, but
they
they say
don't tell
something
anyone it's
else.
GMO, but you got to know if it's
No.
organic, and then you'll know because it'll be expensive too.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time.
And
Most of
and
the time.
the taste will most likely be the most defining factor of the organic or the organic seeds of a natural plant. You know what I mean? Because I mean in any case of the matter, I'm an '80s baby. I grew up in '84. I was born in '84, but when I was a kid, my grandfather, my great grandfather was a farmer who used to farm and plant his own vegetables at one point. So you can literally get natural vegetation from the soils. And that was something that we cherished because as I grew up, I now can tell you that the taste of the fruits and vegetables that we have out here now, when you grabbing it from a corner store or a grocery store, I mean, that shit does not taste like what you used to get out of the ground. Just saying,
Yeah.
all of it is different. There's an
True.
alteration.
Now,
And what's honest about it to me is where you noticed when the first line of any kind of like snacks came out without the trans fats in it, that's when everything started to go downhill because they had already
mm,
decided, okay, well, we don't want to give you everything nutritious. We're going to make you pay for it if you really want it. And then we're going to substitute all this stuff that you love the most with some of
hmm
the most
like butter.
destructive and yeah, some of the most destructive ingredients that aren't going to do anything but help to fast pace the breakdown of your body.
True.
Like, I haven't seen anything else that makes this situation untrue to me because
Oh,
at the end of the day, like
it just takes a little bit of research when you
I said,
realize the
I mean,
modification of the genetics, and then
just the
so a lot
fact
of it's
that
not even
there's
real.
just the fact that America, statistically, when you look at outside countries like Europe and the Middle Eastern area, their food has gone through extensive research to find out and eliminate several ingredients that America still keeps in their food.
Yeah, and that
Why
goes
is
perfectly
that?
into this. That actually goes perfectly into this.
Yeah,
And I opened the
it's
cover
like,
of
why
this
is
book,
that?
and it says that, bro. I opened the cover, and I'm like, this is a good book. It says, "Did you know American milk, meat, and vegetables are banned in Europe because of the health risks they pose? One in three,
Mm-hmm.
and this was back in like 10 years ago. Now it's like 2 out of 3
Right.
items on the supermarket contain GMOs, genetically modified ingredients. And then
Mm-hmm.
40 different pesticides that were being used. It's more now. This is 10 years ago.
Right.
And they have been linked to certain types of cancer.
Continue
So
watching TV.
between GMOs and hormones and pesticides, it feels like our food has become very artificial.
Oh,
And
absolutely. 100%.
smart shopping is hard, man. It's almost
Oh,
impossible for some
I
people.
wholly agree with you there, my friend. Like the only thing that's natural is the damn herbs and seasonings that people fucking put
Yeah,
on
the
the
herbs and
shelf at this
spices,
point,
right?
bro. That's the only thing that's natural at this point. And that's because regardless of how they process that, it only they only granulized these items like herbs and spices and stuff. They didn't add anything to it,
Yeah,
because they really can't. The seasonings and spices of our of the planet are more natural in their grind up form that they put in these containers for you. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like it's still in a natural state because even if you were to like leave it as a whole plant, you could literally take every part of that plant and put it into your food and it be nutritious for you and value.
That's true.
You know what I mean? So like when you think about the fact that, we now have a process in the butcher shops even,
Yeah.
like
Deli,
deli priced food is supposed
deli
to
meat
be
is
hand
supposed to
prepared.
be the best.
Right.
And
Supposed to be.
it's better than like Oscar Mayer or any of
Oh yeah,
that.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
it's it's more expensive, and what you know about that process?
Right, because they only get the whole chunks of freaking meat, right? But then what you
Right.
read out and when you go looking into overseas, have you ever heard of pink? What is that shit called? Pink glue? Food
Pink
glue?
glue,
Yeah, it's
food glue.
like a pink, it's a food glue.
I
It's
think I've
called
heard of
food
that.
glue.
Hmm.
It's a pink, it looks like a pink texture. It's a paste. They stick it,
Oh no.
they put it on food to add size to the back to the meat itself. So like they got a piece of chicken,
What?
they got a whole chicken that's probably missing a few pound or a pound or a piece of a pound to add the whole weight of the product. So they stick the food glue on it, and then they stick the piece of meat that they're gonna add to it onto that piece of meat. So then they just package it up and then they sell it to you after it's dry.
Is that why when I make chicken that there's like the parts that kind of glob off? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Like
you
when you
noticed
bake
that,
it,
right? Yep.
there's pieces that's really soft that
And
ain't
they
that
fall
don't feel
off.
like it
They
just falls off.
don't
It
even
ain't
look like
chicken.
they don't look like they were even a part of the piece that you pulled that it fell off
Yeah,
of.
yeah, there's no string
Yeah,
on it or anything.
yeah,
It's just like a glob.
right.
Damn, bro.
And
Okay.
that for you is what we call food glue.
Food
Like
glue.
I mean, just knowing about it because of the simple fact that like you have a lot of people who do their research in other countries,
Hmm.
and then they post stuff like that on our Instagram feeds, and then you're the one who reads it and sees it. But then there's always people say, "Oh, well, that's not factually true." But then you're also being told that you have these factual things going on, like, oh, there's several thousand chemicals that they allow in the food that we eat in this country, whereas other countries outside of America do not engage. They will gladly remove these things before they put them in front of your face to eat. Why is that? Why are we the only ones that are different? Why are we the ones that don't prefer to utilize those? We don't say we don't. We prefer to have these extra chemicals that even Europe doesn't even agree with in the food, in our food.
Yeah.
You know? And then you wonder why the world or the country that we know is dealing with an obesity rate and people having problems with controlling their eating habits in this country. Oh, we're morbidly obese, damn near people in this motherfucker. Like everybody doesn't have. hmm,
Well, we got a Food and Drug
Somebody just
Administration.
trying to fucking interrupt my situation right now.
Really? That's annoying.
Of course, it's somebody I don't want to talk to because they just fucking just jumped into a whole attitude and argument with me. Now you want to call me thinking that everything is calmed down so you can talk more shit. This is the thing that I cannot stand about human beings nowadays because everybody finds a reason to like poke the bear type of deal,
Yeah, aggravate
not
you.
realizing that the bear is gonna smack the shit out of you with his paw in a minute. Like, and I literally keep my mouth shut.
Yeah.
Oh wow. So now it's like when you get a minute, your daughter is trying to talk to you over a goddamn Play-Doh toy that she made. Um, when you just sat here and cursed me out saying that I'm only calling you to talk about you and me, but you just called me saying that that was my daughter calling me, and that's your fucking scapegoat right now you're using to get me to answer the phone. Oh, why you got such an attitude? I don't have an attitude. You're trying to make an
Mhm.
attitude. I'm not trying to talk to you because every damn thing has to do with you and my child, not just my child and me. in this conversation. You often have your fucking input that has your name saying, oh, well, if you don't want to be with me, then why should I be worried about what I'm doing behind your back or all this other shit? I don't care. I really don't. You know what I care about? The fact that you think it's so easy for you to say these things to me now that you realize I am no longer interested in you as a person or as a relationship topic. I don't care about what's going on with you. I could care less about the many penises or however many men or women in that case, if you ever, whatever. I don't care. What I do care about is the 4-year-old that you have sitting next to you, antagonizing her to say that I don't care about her anymore because I won't answer the phone for you.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That is it's very spiteful. But yeah, I'm the culprit
bad
here.
guy,
I'm the
though.
reason, I'm the bad guy at this point because I refuse to answer the phone. Meanwhile, you're the person who, for the last going on 5 years now, as of this year, 5 years since January 4th of 2021, have yet to show your face with my child in this state to even come see me. Then you keep talking about, oh, well, you could have dropped everything and came to see me. How the fuck is that possible when I didn't have the money? First off, I was giving you half of my disability check every fucking month to help you for the last 3.5 years of that child's life. But yet I am a piece of shit when it comes to what I've done. I don't do enough. I've never put enough of an effort. Meanwhile, you can state that I put in thousands of dollars over a 3-year term, over a 4-year period of time, sent only through Cash App. That's just through Cash App. That ain't got nothing to do with what I've done through other accounting apps like Chime, directly from my Broadview banking account, which is a personal account of mine. At the end of the day, none of that, right, is substantial enough to say what you have done because you decided to move to Tennessee from New York to stay. You didn't bother to say you were staying there temporarily until you found yourself and were able to come back here. No, that wasn't the case. It was up until last year, my daughter's 4th birthday, that you even were in agreement with me to take that opportunity, take that step. And that was only after I got you hired at the at the Amazon warehouse you are closest to, because I have a job there. But I'm a piece of shit who doesn't do anything for you, hasn't done anything for you at all, compared to what you're saying. You're the same person that says that, but in the same breath you say, oh, I'm not blaming you for anything, but I'm just saying the facts.
Mm-mm.
Funny shit. Funny as
Manipulative.
shit, bro. And it's funny because at the end of the day, even in this live stream, I did not want to bring that up. I didn't want to talk about that because it's a whole around the corner situation that's not being told on this whole side of the shit. And I know, like, I'm not the innocent party often, you know what I mean? In any of this situation, I've often been the bad guy on all ends of this situation. But what I've come to the realization of is just in the last 5 years now, I have tried everything in my power to disregard how people view me and only take in what people notice about me now. Because at the end of the day, what has defined me before life, before people see me in life, is not what has defined me now. People see that. People that know me and have just met me see that. They know that from a history point, yeah, I mean, every one of us has a fucked up part of our life that we are, reluctant to speak on. But at the same time, I am not afraid of my mistakes. I only regret that I didn't have the clarity of mind to make the right choices when I did the wrong things. That's it.
Yeah.
Because at that point, I could have defined what was right and what was wrong and made the choices to do the correct, right thing.
Well,
But at that point, I was in a naive state of mind. As anybody knows, the genetics around men, they develop mentality maturity a lot later in life
hmm
than most people.
most of the
So
time.
and that's usually what it is. So going to a person like myself, I did not have a high school education. I didn't graduate from high school. I got a GED. I failed 3 years in a row in my ninth grade year in high school before I went to GED school to get my GED. And that's because I couldn't take the embarrassing moments of walking into a school wearing the most cheapest shit and being criticized on that every day of my life while in school. But I'm not supposed to retaliate or be, defined by the bullies that defined me all the time. They came into my classroom, some of them. They came at me when I was in the hallways, some of them. They met me in my classrooms that I was in with them and made it their priority to insult me, call me everything under the sun but a child of God. And at the end of the day, I had to stand there and accept it, take it and keep it moving. Not one of them has the ability to come at me now and apologize or even say, damn, bro, you come a long way. You know why? Because they're too busy in their own fucked up shit. Because they took the
Well,
advantage
that's
points
the
that they
reason
had when they were young.
they attacked you because their own lives were messed up one way or another, man.
Exactly. Had all this money to buy you some fancy clothes to go to school with, but none of your family situations were as fucking put together as they should have been when it came to you and the care you really needed as a child.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, they compensated that with the material things that you now satisfy yourself with and think that that's a way that you gratify yourself in life.
But
That to me
you
was
don't
never a
think it's
stance
worth
for
it.
me, bro. I didn't grow up with any of that shit. I didn't grow up with that shit in me. My father was the closest to a rich family that I had. My father was middle class. So he did have the opportunity to buy shit for me. My mother, on the other hand, showed me what the value of a real dollar was. Because you know how
Mhm.
much my mom used to pay for rent when I lived with my mother, and it was just me, her, and my my older brother, and my older sister. All three of us in the house lived under her apartment for $1 a month under the government, and and we lived there for years until she decided to move because we had a what? We had too much crime in the neighborhood, and she was tired of living like that. But she
But
didn't have the money.
you didn't have the money to leave, though.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So you look at that situation. I grew up in it.
tough.
I remember the day that I left my old neighborhood and moved to the west side of town where totally different atmosphere of people, still the same old ratchet bullshit, just a higher class of fucking living.
Yeah.
What was different?
Mm.
You know what I mean? I learned how to live with my situation and find a way to make it better. I found music as an escape. I found music as a message and an answer to the questions that I had.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, everyone decided they were gonna rally around listen, listen. Who is in my fucking live stream right now that got something to say about what I'm saying right now? Please tell me. If you're in here and you're a fucking operative, I need you to please step out because this conversation is not for the rest of the people in the motherfucker. Now, look, and everybody got an explanation as to what the fuck they're doing to try to explain themselves away as the innocent party. Please, if you got something else to say, please pass the message. I don't give a fuck what you're saying right now. Please stop messaging me. See? You're in my fucking comments, Arjana. Get the fuck out. Find something else to talk about. Maybe go hang out with your new boyfriend and do that thing that you keep saying that you're trying to do.
Man.
You see what I'm saying? The pettiest of petty shit every day. And mind you, I didn't, again, want to bring this up. but you're going to keep poking the bear. Let's go. Because at this point right now, I'm so fucking tired of this shit. I've tried to cooperate, play the game, and be the fucking quote co-parent that you keep saying. But then this bullshit keeps festering and surfacing at the same time. You're acting like I'm the fucking person that's causing all this. I didn't say anything to you. Haven't said anything to you about any of this shit that you're doing outside of the fact of what you got from me in that conversation on the phone. Go for it. Go for it. I don't care. Post it all. Tell everyone about what the fuck we're talking about. Because again, I haven't said a goddamn thing out loud. So please do that. That's your fucking resolution to the situation. Let it be. Because all of a sudden now you're in tune with what I'm doing on this live stream, talking on this live stream with someone that has nothing to do with our situation.
It had nothing to do with you. We were talking
Absolutely
about real
not.
stuff. We were talking about real things.
That's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, you got to be creeping around on some faulty ass Instagram account trying to fucking peep what I'm doing because you seen I was live. This is it. You're trolling. And that's common sense because you don't have nothing else to do with yourself today on a Sunday. But this is what I'm saying. Like, if I were to do any of this shit, not let's please keep going here. Calling me. I'm just gonna keep ignoring. Please keep calling because I'm just gonna keep ignoring it. Like, this is the shit that I'm talking about, fam. And I keep going through this, but then I'm the one that's crazy. I'm the one that's losing my mind and all this other shit. It's sad, fam. It's absolutely sad because I haven't done anything wrong other than made the choice to say no about what happened moving forward. And no, I'm not taking away from my child by regarding not to speak to you. I am honestly simply saving my own sanity because I can't focus on taking care of myself without having to deal with the stress of dealing with my child's mother. Shit's crazy, bro.
Is it over yet?
It's crazy right now, fam. I don't know. Like, that shit just knocked out my earbud.
Well, I
But,
got to check on somebody, but it was good
huh?
talking to you, boss man. I gotta go check on somebody.
Yeah.
I hope both of
It
y'all find
transferred my fucking earbuds to the phone. Hold on a second. Let me try to fucking put it back. Because again, you know what I mean? Like, we're having a reasonable conversation about everything else around shit that didn't have anything to do with that. But, you know, apparently I can't do live streaming or, you know, conversation on anything without it always being somebody involved in it that I don't mention directly, but their name supposedly is involved in this.
Yeah.
Come on, stupid. My phone is just the worst right now. Damn. Yeah, so I mean, like, this is the part of like the situation that I have like been, you know what I mean, just trying not to be the person to say, oh, I'm gonna talk about this, I'm gonna bring it out. No, I don't want to bring it out. I would rather this shit stay hidden.
Yeah, the gossiping and oh, he's so bad. He did this to me.
Right.
It's just a sad look. It's not a good look. I know it works with women a lot and they get sympathy, you know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's like a lot of them lie. You know what I mean?
Right.
Of course you're the
It's just
bad
so
guy because
it's
you're
so
not giving
insane.
her
Like,
1,000 a
cause for
month or whatever, whatever she wants. But it's like, dude, you're blind. Like, what does she want from you? I don't understand. You know,
I, I wish I knew. I wish I
I
knew,
don't get it.
my friend. Cause at this point right now, I'm still confused about it too. It's not like
Frustrating.
I have the status. See, now she's up and down my timeline. Supposedly, again, like I just like golly, bro. Like
Hmm.
I don't have anything that I keep secret to myself, like you would expect.
Right.
I clearly
Right.
am like an open book at so many ways. Like maybe the exception of like one thing, and I refuse to go into detail on that
That's
because it's a private matter. But at the same time, I leave everything else to the fucking rest of the world to determine because at the end of the day, I have yet to see myself, you know, doing anything that that deserves this kind of treatment. I understand I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes. I've treated people with disrespect in many ways. And I agree that there should have been a reconciliation point. And that's something I've been
yeah.
working on trying to do for myself. I'm not here to satisfy anybody else's ego or my own. I don't care at this point what people think of me. I'm tired of having to live up to an expectation that isn't me.
Yeah. I don't know where this world went wrong and getting so fake, you know.
I agree.
But it's
It's just so
especially
much.
this thing, especially with women, where they expect you to do everything for them,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a problem. They have they grow a dependency for you to provide, but you're nowhere near, and you don't even have eyes, bruh.
Right.
And she wants you to do all this stuff and expects you, but it's like, well, she made the choice to leave, right?
Right.
And that's on her. You should
That's
be a
what I
free,
said.
in my opinion, you should be a free man, you know,
Technically,
and
yes.
just call every now and then and say, hey, how y'all doing? But it shouldn't be like I'm just doing this stream talking with a bro, and then she comes in and it's annoying you and for no reason.
So now I'm on her dick now. That's what she's saying.
Okay,
Tell your GF. What girlfriend? As I've
and what
stated, I don't
girl?
have anybody else. I'm by myself. I'm single as far as I'm concerned. I don't have no idea where you're getting this girlfriend thing from, but I appreciate it if you think I do have a girlfriend. Yeah, because I can move on without having to worry about what you're gonna say about that person. Yep.
Well, man, I gotta go because I gotta check on somebody. But it's been
Oh
good
yeah, do your
talking
thing,
to you,
fam.
bro.
I'm gonna get myself out of here too, bro. Because I just want, like I said, I wanted to come in and talk a little bit about something that was been on my head, and I literally came in here really to talk about the whole TikTok situation.
Yeah,
But
that's a
we got
crazy.
it. We got that in along with other shit. So I'm perfectly fine with what we have right here on this live stream. I
Cool,
appreciate
cool.
anybody who recaps and views this on the way out. Just know that, you know what I'm saying? The truth will define anybody because the
Yeah,
lies don't fucking
it'll
settle.
fight
They
for
don't even.
itself too. You don't have to go crazy defending the truth. I mean, it stands.
Nope.
It
Nope. It
stands. And
stands without having any reason to be
now people
excused.
will try to fight the truth, but
Absolutely.
I don't need to fight them, because eventually they will see. I
Mm-hmm.
pray that they do, that they were wrong. We've all been wrong.
That's it. Because that's where I'm at with it, fam. But again, my brother, thank you for being a co-host on the show
No
today. Like I just came
problem,
in to
no
chop it
problem.
up a little bit about some stuff, and you
Yeah,
helped to bring it all around. 360, brother. I appreciate it.
glad I could help, man. Don't let nothing tear you down today.
Oh, absolutely, bro. I'm a solid creature, bro. Like at the end of the
Yeah,
day,
I like
I'm not
that.
gonna allow any of this to affect me negatively, bro. I know where my love is. I know where my, you know, peace of mind is at. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna always inherit, you know, a positive outlook on this situation, because regardless of who's saying what about what I do or who I am, they don't define who I am. They just tell you a story of what I used to be.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
That's
I'm gonna
just
leave you
something
with that.
positive.
I appreciate you again, my brother, for tapping in with me, man. Let's
Appreciate you.
get the hell on out of here and enjoy the rest of Sunday.
Peace. Enjoy your Sunday.
Peace and love, brother.